We use it every single day, but we almost never think about it. It's this invisible force that's shaping our thoughts, our conversations, even our reality. And no, it's not magic, it's grammar. And honestly, it might just be the most powerful tool you never even realized you had.
I mean, of course you have. We've all been there, right? You send a text that gets completely misunderstood, or maybe an email that just causes total confusion. And that whole communication breakdown, it almost always boils down to one simple yet incredibly powerful thing. Okay, so look at this. On one side, you've got pure chaos, just a random jumble of words. But on the other, total clarity. And what's the only difference? It's a set of invisible rules that instantly turns that mess into a clear, meaningful picture in your head. That's the power of syntax, right there. Here's a great way to think about it. Words are like bricks, but grammar is the blueprint. It's the essential structure that takes a pile of rubble and turns it into a house. And in the same way, it takes a string of words and turns it into a coherent, powerful idea. Okay, so how does this blueprint actually work? Let's dive in, kind of look under the hood, and see how grammar is constantly saving us from a world of complete and utter chaos. How it creates meaning where, honestly, there'd be nothing. Well, the number one enemy that grammar fights off is ambiguity. And that's just a fancy word for when a sentence can mean two or three or even more different things all at once. And believe me, this is where so many of our everyday misunderstandings come from. Oh, this is the classic example, and it shows just how high the stakes can get. A single, tiny comma is literally the only thing standing between a nice family dinner invitation and, well, a very, very awkward family moment. So yeah, punctuation isn't just decoration. It's like a traffic cop for your sentences, telling everything where to go. Now, in this case, the confusion doesn't come from punctuation, but from the words themselves. I saw her duck. What does that mean? Did she own a bird, or did she quickly lower her head? It can mean two totally different things, and this just shows you that the order of our words is every bit as critical as the words we pick. Okay, but here's where it gets really, really interesting. What if this blueprint, what if it's not something we just learn from a textbook? What if the basic rules of grammar are actually hardwired into our brains from the moment we're born?
And that idea brings us to this absolutely brilliant and revolutionary linguist, Noam Chomsky. See, he wasn't just interested in the surface-level rules of, say, English or Spanish. He wanted to go deeper, to uncover the universal principles that allow us humans to build sentences in the first place.
So Chomsky came up with this now famous sentence. Just read it out loud. Colorless, green ideas sleep furiously. It's complete nonsense, right? I mean, it doesn't mean anything. And yet, doesn't some part of your brain just recognize it as a perfectly built sentence? It feels weirdly correct. And that is the million-dollar question. Your brain totally rejects the meaning, but it accepts the structure. So why? Why does that happen? The answer really gets to the very core of how our minds are built to handle language. Well, Chomsky's answer was this groundbreaking theory he called universal grammar, and the idea is pretty mind-blowing. It's that our brains are born with a basic grammatical toolkit, kind of like an innate roadmap for language. This is why little kids can pick up the insane complexity of their first language so incredibly fast, without any formal lessons. They aren't starting from zero, they're basically just unlocking a system that was there all along. All right, so let's bring this down to earth and see how it all plays out in the real world. Because honestly, whether we're talking about super high-stakes international law or just a casual tweet, these deep grammatical principles are always running the show behind the scenes. In things like legal documents and international treaties, grammar isn't just a tool, it's a scalpel. There is absolutely zero room for error. The difference between words like shall and may isn't just a suggestion, it's a legally binding obligation that can be worth billions of dollars. Every single clause is crafted for one thing and one thing only: absolute, unarguable clarity. Now, let's contrast that super rigid precision with how language actually works out in the wild. Take a phrase like, I have went to the store. Technically, yeah, it's incorrect. But let's be real, we hear people say it all the time, and this shows this really fascinating tension between what's grammatically correct, according to the rule book, and what just becomes socially acceptable because enough people use it. And this leads us to another really powerful way of looking at things. The idea that grammar isn't just some abstract set of rules we're forced to follow. It's a system that evolved for a reason, to serve a purpose. Its structures are there because, well, they work. At its very core, grammar is a tool that helps us communicate,
connect, and just plain get things done. So where does all this leave us? We've seen that grammar is what creates clarity from chaos. We've talked about how it might literally be woven into our DNA. And we know it's a critical tool in society. But its ultimate role, that's even bigger, even more profound. And this quote, I think, just says it all. Without that grammatical backbone, our ability to express complex thoughts and deep feelings would basically just fall apart. It's the fundamental architecture that lets us share our entire inner worlds with each other. Think about that. So here's the real takeaway. Grammar is not just some set of boring, picky rules you had to memorize back in school. No way. It is the operating system for language. It's the elegant, powerful logic that turns random sounds and symbols into shared meaning, and that enables everything from asking a simple question to creating our species' greatest ideas. And all of this leads to one final kind of mind-bending question to leave you with. If grammar is the blueprint for our language, then how is it also the blueprint for our world? How does the very structure of our sentences shape the way we think, the way we see things, and ultimately the entire reality we all build together?